Hello guys, I am Amol Belekar. Today we are starting ASP.NET series. In that we are trying to introduce updated concept or latest news related to ASP.NET. So let's start with the introduction to ASP.NET. So in this video we are going to see what is .NET, different .NET implementation, what is ASP.NET, what is ASP.NET frameworks, web application, what are the software requirement for developing ASP.NET application, and simple program and its outputs. Okay, so first we see what is .NET. So .NET is a free cross-platform open source developer platform for building different types of application. So basically by using .NET we can develop different types of applications. So what are the different types of application? We can develop desktop application using .NET. You can develop mobile application. You can develop web application using .NET. You can develop gaming application using .NET, or you can develop IoT applications using .NET. So .NET is a basically framework by using that you can develop different types of applications, and you can take help of different languages also for developing this. So .NET will support multiple language for developing .NET's application. So you can use C# language, Visual F# language, Visual Basic language for developing any .NET application. So basically we say that .NET is a free. So it is a Microsoft proprietary, still it is a free, so there is a no fee or licensing cost including for the commercial use. So it is a free and open source, so developer can use it and develop different application. And nowadays it is a cross platform also, means if you develop any .NET application that will run on different operating system platform, on Windows also, on Linux also, or on Mac OS. So you can run these applications on different platforms. So basically .NET is used for developing different types of applications. So there are n number of types we can develop .NET application. So in this we are seeing what is different .NET implementation, what are that, and what is basic difference between them. So there are three major .NET implementations are there: .NET Core, .NET Framework, and Xamarin or Mono, you can say. So basically .NET Core, that is a cross-platform version of .NET for building websites, services, console app, different types of app also, that may be IoT application or a game. So that can be developed by using .NET Core also. So that will be cross-platform versions. Means if you develop any application using .NET Core, that will be run on different operating system like Linux, on Mac OS, on Windows. Still, it is a Microsoft product. If you are developing suppose desktop application using .NET Core, that will run on Linux also, or Mac OS also, or Windows also. So it is a cross-platform version of .NET implementation, that is .NET Core. Then next .NET implementation is a .NET Framework. So that is focused only on Windows. So it is a Windows only version of .NET for building any type of app that will run only on Windows. So if you choose .NET Framework, then that will run that application only on Windows. And if you are choosing .NET Core, suppose you are developing desktop application on .NET Core, that will run on Windows operating system also, Linux operating system, Mac OS, or different operating system it will run if you develop that application using .NET Core. another part that is called as a Xamarin. That is also .NET implementation. Xamarin, or we can say it is a Mono, is a .NET implementation for running apps on the all major mobile operating systems. So it is a single share code base for Android, iOS, and Windows. So Xamarin is majorly focusing for developing apps that will run on a mobile operating system. So if you develop any .NET application using Xamarin, that app will be run on Android operating system also, iOS also, or Windows. So if you try to develop any mobile application that you want to run on multiple operating system, mobile operating systems, so you can use the Xamarin, and by using that you can develop that app that will be run on iPhones, iOS also, Windows phones also, on Windows operating system, or even Android operating system. So you cover all operating system if you develop application using Xamarin. So these are the .NET implementation that will be differentiate based on which platform we are executing the application. So in for our tutorials we are going to use .NET frameworks. So basically that .NET framework, that application, if you suppose uh, run, that will be run on Windows operating system only. If we choose .NET Core, that will be run on different operating systems on Linux and Mac OS also. And if you develop use the .NET Xamarin implementation, that will be runs on all major mobile operating system. So by using .NET, you can develop any type of application, and that will be run on any operating system, that may be Windows, Linux, Mac OS, or any mobile operating system also. So if you develop using Xamarin, then that will be run on Android, iOS, and Windows also. So this is a basic difference between .NET Core, .NET Framework, and Xamarin. And next we move to the ASP.NET. First we learn what is .NET. By using that .NET we can develop different types of applications. So now we learn about the ASP.NET. So what is ASP.NET? That ASP.NET is a framework for building web apps and services with .NET and C#. So if taking help of .NET, by using that .NET, ASP.NET will develop web application. So ASP.NET is a free web framework for building web application using HTML, CSS, JavaScript, using C# for server side logic. So by using ASP.NET, we are developing a web application. So what is that web application? We will next in the next slide. So by using that, we can develop web application that will be deployed on web server and access that. So your ASP.NET application may contain HTML code also, CSS also, JavaScript also, and for the server side logic, we will use the C# programming language. So backgroundly, take the help of .NET framework, and by using that it will develop this web application using ASP.NET. So you can also develop web API and real-time technology like WebSocket also using ASP.NET. So ASP.NET basically extend the .NET platform with tools and libraries specially building for the web applications. So this ASP.NET is also open source on GitHub. It is also free. So in ASP.NET, similar like .NET, we have .NET Framework and .NET Core. In that also ASP.NET Framework also, and ASP.NET Core also. So ASP.NET Core, that is alternative to ASP.NET, that whatever that application that will be developed, we can develop and can be run on Windows, Linux, and Mac OS also, and Docker also. So whatever our ASP.NET application, where okay, we can develop and run also on this different operating system also on Docker. Docker is a container. In that also we can develop and run this ASP.NET application. So next we learn about the ASP.NET programming module. This is basically theoretical concept, but you must know what is that. So in this programming model, basically we are learning four programming models, or we can say three. In some scenario they mentioned the three framework also. So basically ASP.NET offers four programming models you can use to create ASP.NET application. Means by using this model you can develop ASP.NET application. One is ASP.NET web forms, second ASP.NET MVC, third ASP.NET web pages, and fourth ASP.NET single page applications or SP. These are the four programming models. By using that you can create ASP.NET application. So these four are especially different development styles. So by using web forms you can build a dynamic website using drag drop, and it is a event driven model. Means you can develop static pages by using HTML and CSS and JavaScript by using that. But whatever the dynamic part is there in a web application or website, that can be developed by using this ASP.NET web forms. So it will build the dynamic part that will contain the database relation connections, and what will happen when you click on that, or email sending, and all that part can be done using this. So this web form can build a dynamic website, and it's provide rich user controls that will run on server side, and based it is a event driven model. So it uses the different event driven models. So in our web series we are using this ASP.NET web forms. There is another programming called as ASP.NET MVC. So MVC stands for model view controller. So this MVC is a design pattern used to decouple user interface, that is view, data, that is model, and application logic controls. So basically this ASP.NET MVC nowadays is so popular because it has a separation of concern. It separate user view from data, and managing things will be done at a control level, that is application logic and done at a control level. So controller will handle tasks through model, it will take data and apply to the user interface. So for agile development nowadays ASP.NET MVC is a popular. So for that we will make a different series for that. But in this series we are going to focus on ASP.NET web forms. So there are another programming model that is called as ASP.NET web pages. So it is a lightweight framework for creating dynamic websites, and basically by using that we can create dynamic part also. So static part will be done in HTML and CSS and all. So dynamic part also done by using this ASP.NET web pages. So in that it's use a tool called as a web matrix. So that web matrix is a tool for creating pages and sites by using this ASP.NET web pages. So this is another programming model for developing websites. Then fourth programming model, that is a ASP.NET SPA, that is single page applications. Means that in single page application, web app that loads a single HTML page and dynamically update that page as a user interaction with the app. So whole app contained in a single HTML page. So in that whatever the dynamic part will be there, that will be updated when the user interaction will be happen. So that is another programming model. So these are the four programming models: waveforms, ASP.NET MVC, ASP.NET web pages, and SPS. So in some things they mentioned that is there are if you anybody asks that is what are the frameworks in ASP.NET. So these are the framework also, that is ASP.NET web form, MVC and web pages. So in MVC we can develop the SP application, that is single page application. So basically we can anybody say that what are the ASP.NET frameworks, so we can mention these three frameworks are there: web forms, MVC and web pages. So by using all of these we can develop what? We are developing ASP.NET web applications. So you can create web application with any of them, no matter what model you choose. You will get all the benefits and future of ASP.NET everywhere. Each model targets a different development style. So the these models will develop ASP.NET application, means by using MVC, web forms, web pages. By these three frameworks we can develop ASP.NET web applications only, but they only target the different web styles. Or it is not only, if you suppose if you develop application using MVA and you are not able to use web form, it's not like that. You can combine all these things in a one web applications also, or in web sites. So this is not entire independently. So these frameworks, that is web form, MVC and web pages, and whatever this SPS single page application, that can be especially developed by using this MVC also. So are not entirely independent, means we can independent also develop application by using this web form, MVC and web pages, but we can individually add into applications and different framework also we can combine in a single application. So individual components of application written using different framework also in a one web application. For example, suppose if you develop application in that customer facing portion of app might develop in MVC to optimize the markup. So markup part optimization we can develop that part in a MVC, and while the data access and administration portions are developed in a web forms to take the advantage of data controls and simple data access. So these programming models, these are the four programming models, or we can say three frameworks. We can combine these also, or separately by using that you can also develop web applications. So target of this all these programming models or framework to develop ASP.NET web applications. Each have their different development style, but by combining these we can also develop site, means we can develop view parts and customer facing portions in MVC, and whatever the database related tasks and user controls that can task managed by using web form. So combination of all these also contained in a ASP.NET application. So the telling main task is that your application may contain different and different things in your applications. Means your application also contains web form related part, MVC related part, or it contains static parts also, that is HTML, CSS, JavaScript. So ASP.NET web applications different uh, coding part also, means it contains your HTML file, it contains your JS files, it contains your XPX file, it contains your database related part also. You can write that background coding part in C sharp also. So different these technologies comes at a one place, so that contains in your web application. So we say that ASP.NET is used for developing web application. Then what is the web application or web app? So web application is an application that is accessed by user using web browser. So whatever the application developed by using ASP.NET or different technologies are developed that will develop the web application, that is basically accessed by what? Web browser. It is Chrome, Firefox, Internet Explorer. Means whatever you access by using Google Chrome, Internet Explorer, Firefox, uh, or different browsers, you can access the application. That application is called as a web applications. So you are in your web browser and you are accessing that web application that will reply that your pages. So web application is just like normal computer application except that will works over the internet. Okay, so this whatever we develop our web application, that will be work all over internet. That's why this web application development is popular. That's why this ASP.NET and different which is based technologies are popular, because it's work over the internet and you can simply access that application by using only web browser. So you doesn't require at client side large or huge software to access your application parts. You need only web browser. So web application is any computer program that performs specific function by using web browser as its client. So only at client side it required web browser. So your client may be your computer, it may be your mobile, anything, any device you can say it which contains the web browsers. By using that web browser, you can have access that web application. So at client side in a web application, you contain the browser and that browser will render your page. But main thing here we will discuss about in web application architecture in that detail also. But here main thing we our web server is there and web client is there. At client side in a web application, so our web application deploy on a web server and that we are accessing on a web client. So client side what content? It contains only browser and that will the render page. So browser only understand, means your Internet Explorer, Chrome, Firefox, Opera, that only understand the HTML, CSS and JavaScript. That static part only it will understand. So whatever dynamic part generations and all that will be done at server side and it will send back to the and browser will render them. So that about the web application framework we will learn detail in coming videos. Then next we learn about the software requirement. So for developing ASP.NET application, what is the software requirement for that? So we can use the different IDEs for that. IDEs, that is integrated development environment. So for developing our application, we use the Visual Studio IDEs. So Visual Studio is a IDE. IDE means for developing, editing, compiling, coding, debugging, testing, all these things done at one place, that is called as a IDE, integrated development environment. So Visual Studio is a IDE. In that we can develop different types of applications. You can develop desktop application using Visual Studio. You can develop web application using Visual Studio. You can develop gaming application, IoT application, and number of application we can develop using Visual Studio. Nowadays they are providing different facilities. So web applications like our ASP.NET application also can be developed by using Visual Studio. This is a Microsoft technology. So Microsoft provide this .NET also, ASP.NET, and IDE, that is Visual Studio IDE for developing web application. So for developing our ASP.NET application, you require the Visual Studio and you can download it from the official site visualstudio.microsoft.com. There are different editions provided by the Visual Studio, that is professional edition, enterprise edition, community edition. So professional and enterprise edition have some charges, but this community edition, that is a totally free for individual developers, academic users and open source. So it is a open source. This So you can download this Visual Studio Community Edition, that is a free for developers, and you can learn these things by using that. So in next lecture also we will see about this, how to download and check. And this is a sample program and output. So basically this is a Visual Studio screen. In that we will develop this application. So we will learn about the how to develop a first application and all that thing. So I am telling about simple this ASP.NET code. This is a AXPX page, hello world.axps. In that this will contain this XPX code. Majorly this part contains the HTML part also. You will see that HTML head, body, form tag, div tag. These are the HTML code. This also. And here this is ASP.NET page directives. We will see later on this about. But this is a sample code I want to show only. And this is a sample output. So where will we run this program? That will be run on a web client. So what is our web client? That is a web browser. Means if you develop ASP.NET web application Visual Studio, you can develop it and it will run on where? It will run on a web browser. So it may be your Google Chrome, it may be your Internet Explorer or Firefox, Opera, whatever your browser install, that you can run. So you can, so in this majorly part is auto generated by Visual Studio. Only this part in a rectangle I have added hello world and first web application is ASP.NET, and that will be learned. So this is a sample video. In next video also we will see how to develop that. So this is similar like code it is there, and if you run like this, so this is a Visual Studio. In that I have created hello world.xpx page, and that we will run on any browser. So when you click on this IS Express Google Chrome, so it will run this ASP.NET application on Google Chrome. So what I want to tell you, that your ASP.NET web application contain HTML code also, JavaScript file also, CSS file also, C sharp code also, that is at background level it will be handled. So it contains a number of things. Means your web application is a combination of all these technologies, and then final output we will get in on where? It will get on your web browser. So this is my output of simple that hello world.xps we will run on a web browser, and this is output simple. So this is a web application and this is a web client. Means at client side we require only this web browser, and server side our application is deployed, and we will access the web application by using this URL. By this is a URL type in a web address of the web browser. So this will access the web application. So this is a main advantage of your web application, is that you need only web browser to access that, and that will be accessed over internet. That's why it is a popular. So this is a sample program and output. In next video series we will see how to develop this application or how to install and all that. So that's all about this. So thank you.